Well, hello and welcome to Understand Men Now. I'm Jonathan Aslay of jonathanAslay.com, and I'm so excited to be shooting this live stream for you today. Our topic, never chase a guy. Do this instead. The 5 ways he'll invest in you. Now, really quickly, if you're new to my YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you can be notified of new content. And if during the course of this video, the content resonates with you, I please ask you to hit that like button so more people get it in their queue so they can see it. So I'd really appreciate that. Okay, for those who know me, know that I like to just jump right into the topic in the beginning. I'll repeat it again a little bit later on, and then we're going to go to Q&A. So just as a reminder, we'll do content first, and then we'll do Q&A. So that's the best part. In fact, that's where most people stay for. So I'm really happy about that. So let's talk about chasing. So it's interesting to me, there's different perceptions on the idea of chase. And I want to differentiate between the idea of putting an effort into a relationship versus chasing someone. So let's differentiate the two, because let me give you an example. If somebody makes effort in the relationship, then the other person should make effort basically commensurate with the effort that the other person is making. So that we call that effort. Sometimes that's also called investment. That includes time, that includes energy, that includes your financial resources, whatever that is. When you make effort, it's different than chasing, but sometimes women get characterized as chasing a guy when they're simply making effort. So when I get asked questions like, is it chasing a guy if I ask a guy out? Absolutely not. That's simply making effort. Is it chasing a guy if if I ask where the relationship is going? No, it's not. It's simply making effort. Chasing looks a little more like this. And I think this is where we have to address the difference, is that let's say a man that you're in a relationship starts pulling away, okay? And he's basically giving you the signs he's going to break up. Chasing looks like trying to convince him that he's wrong. Let me repeat that. Chasing is convincing someone they're wrong. In fact, I had a woman once I was working with who the man she was with broke up with her. And she went on saying, well, can I have a chance to talk to you? I mean, we need some closure. And during the conversation, she was reciting all the reasons why he was wrong for breaking up with her. Okay, that's chasing, because someone has went another direction. They've ended the relationship with you, and she's trying to convince him he's wrong. Okay, now, we differentiate, and then let me go back to this idea of chase. There's this grand expectation that men are supposed to chase women. Well, as I said earlier, there's a big difference between making effort into a relationship, because let me tell you something, ladies. A man who puts effort into dating, making plans, doing things, if he's not seeing corresponding effort from a woman, by the way, let me just say this. A high quality guy is going to go the other direction. Now, a low quality guy is the guy who's chasing sex, and men often chase sex. Even high quality guys are drawn from the sexual component, but there's a big difference, because when someone's chasing sex, they're not necessarily interested in a committed relationship. They're just in it for the conquest. And I know many of you ladies have heard how men are the hunters and they love the chase and they love the conquest. Yes, it's singular to the idea of getting laid. It's not necessarily, I want to be in a relationship. I want to be in a relationship. Now, I want to differentiate, though, for a moment, men that are in their 20s and their 30s. And by the way, I'll get to those 5 things that a woman could do. But a man in his 20s and 30s, oftentimes he's on the hunt for a wife. If there is a man who genuinely wants to make babies and raise a family and be part of a family, then he'll actually be on the hunt for a wife. So he's more discriminating. The challenge with those of you who are dating in midlife, or people that don't know what they want a family, is that they're dating from a premise of what I call winging it. Okay, this is winging it. Most people are dating from a premise of winging it because they don't have a clear understanding of the mechanics to a healthy, happy relationship. Let me repeat that. The mechanics to a healthy, happy relationship. Most men are rather clueless, and quite frankly, most women are clueless. This is why I continually recommend the book over and over again. I recommend the book 8 Dates by Dr. John and Julie Gottman. 8 Dates by Dr. John and Julie Gottman. Why I love this book, and by the way, there's a link to Jonathon Recommends Books in the description, so just make a note to come back to this. Check out the links to this book, as well as many other books I recommend. Why this is so important, it lays out the mechanics to a healthy, happy relationship, because the reality is, commitment requires a common cause. Commitment requires common cause. And without a common cause, and the common cause isn't connection and sex, most people date because they're thirsty for connection. They're thirsty for sex. But at midlife, it's really difficult because people don't know what the common cause is. They're winging it, as I said. Isn't that kind of winging it? And this is why a lot of angst and frustration is coming up for you. So now I want to share with you what's going to make a guy invest in the relationship. So we're going to cover 5 things right now. By the way, if this is resonating with you, please hit that like button. Let me know this is resonating. Let me see that in the counter. Hit that like button if this is resonating so far. Put on my trusty glasses. So number 1, ladies, instead of focusing on the guy, I want you to focus on the relationship. Let me repeat that. Instead of focusing on the guy, I want you to focus on the relationship. Now, let me give you, and what I really am trying to suggest for you is to get a clear understanding of what a relationship looks like for you. Because when you're dating is simply a vetting process to decide if you want to be in relationship with someone. Let me repeat that. Dating is a vetting process to decide if you want to be in relationship with someone. A relationship, okay, now we'll go from here. A relationship is a vetting process to decide if you eventually want to become partnership with someone. So rather than focusing on the guy, because ladies, I see so many of you, you're hyper focused on the guy and not whether or not you two are really compatible with one another. So if you really want to make a man invest in you, then first you have to establish, what does a we look like to you? What does a we look like to you? So I'm going to give you an example from Jonathon Aslay's playbook. Those who know me know I repeat this quite frequently. In my world, a relationship looks like the following. We spend 3 or 4 days and nights a week together, doing shared activities, hobbies, mutual interest, spending time with family and friends, partnership building skills, which includes in our personal life and our professional life, partnership building skills, traveling together, intimacy, both emotional, physical, and sexual intimacy with each other, eventually leading to either moving in together or partnership. Okay? You see how I am crystal clear on that? So I know my mission, I know my cause, I know why I want to be in relationship. And the sad thing is, most men, as well as most women, they're winging it. They're winging it because you've been so indoctrinated that men are the leaders of the relationship and they're just supposed to claim you, and men are supposed to be chivalrous and they're just going to do all the work, and you just sit back in your feminine, because all you need to do is sit back in your feminine. I'm here to say, it's not about sitting back, because as I'm about to share in our second example, it requires something from you as well. So if you want to make invest in you, first, get crystal clear on what you're looking for in a relationship and establish your standard. That's the foundation, is your standard. Is this resonating with you? Please let me know by hitting that like button. All right. So number 2, what did I write down? So there's this thing, going back to the chivalrous guy and everything, there's this notion that men are supposed to prove themselves to you. Men are supposed to prove themselves to you. And I'm here to say, understand that a relationship is a 2-lane street. So it's about making mutual effort. It's not about him proving himself to you, because you've got to prove yourself to him. Remember, a relationship is a 2-lane street. This is why I highly recommend reading this book. It's called If the Buddha Dated. If the Buddha Dated, because this explores the deep, I'll keep it up for a little bit more. The Buddha Dated. By the way, again, all of my books are in the Jonathon Recommend books. This teaches you how to date from a 2-lane street perspective, because it's about making effort. Now, sometimes you make effort and he's making no effort. So let me try to see. Okay, so you're making effort, you're here and he's here. Well, you don't keep making more effort to pull him in. What you do is you make effort and stop and see if he catches up with you. I like the way Matthew Hussey calls it. He calls it invest, and test. Let me repeat that. He says invest and test. So what effort looks like, it might be asking him out on a date. It might be paying for the date. It might be doing something for him. It might be initiating calls. I'm so tired of so many of you calling me up and saying, Jonathan, I'm in a relationship, guy, and it's been 3 days and I haven't heard from him. I'm like, did you reach out to him? And they go, no. I'm like, the phone fucking goes both ways, ladies. It's not about him. It's about you investing as well. Now, if you've reached out and you haven't heard from them for a few days, that's a little bit different story. But I'm saying you got ladies, you can call men, you can ask men out on dates. It's not this patriarchal society we live in anymore. This is why I'm a big proponent of a 2-lane street relationship. Where's my book? Oh, if you haven't read the book, Spiritual Partnership by Gary Zukav, oh my God, this is an amazing book to understand the mechanics of a deeper co-creative relationship. Did you hear what I just said? Co-creative relationship. It's because a relationship is built on 4 pillars. 4 pillars. First pillar, the easiest one to recognize, is chemistry. Often the hardest to experience and the easiest to recognize is chemistry. Okay. Number 2, shared values. Shared values. This is critically important if you want to have a juicy, delicious, healthy relationship, is do you share the same values? Number 3, do you have lifestyles that can blend in with one another? This is why when I said earlier, understanding the mechanics to a healthy, happy relationship understands that compatibility is, can you blend lives together? And here's the trickiest one of all, emotional maturity. Sadly, the majority of the population is emotionally weak. Their emotional skills in relationship, I'm not saying someone who pays his bills on time, he or she pays his bills on time, cleans their car when it's supposed to be done, makes their bed, those are grown-up things to do. I'm talking about emotional maturity. And sadly, the vast majority of the population has weak emotional skills in respects to relationship. So here's the thing. You can have chemistry. In fact, you can even share some of your values. Your lifestyles might be close to blending in with one another. But if someone's a fucking basket case, in other words, they have childhood wounds and traumas and adult traumas that hasn't been healed, you're just going down a path of insanity, because the vast majority of the population, men and women alike, have weak emotional skills. This is why I'm such a big proponent of reading this book, The Hoffman Process. The Hoffman Process. I did this workshop a few years ago. It was a deep dive into my childhood wounds and traumas to help me heal or begin the healing process. This is why I'm such a big proponent of reading these books, so you can be prepared for a healthy, happy relationship. Because if you're expecting men to lead, guess what? These men are winging it. They're winging it because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Yes, they absolutely know how to charm you and get you in bed, okay? A lot of guys, not most, just a lot of guys are good at charming and getting you in bed. And then here's the sad reality is, a lot of you ladies, just like a lot of men, reject good people to be in relationship with. Let me repeat that. Here's the thing. A lot of women, you reject the good guys because they don't have enough of an edge. But then the ones you do like, they're winging it. And then you're frustrated. So this is why I'm here to propose a deeper way to approach relationships. Now, let me go back to how to get them to invest in you. Okay, so number 1, I said, focus on the relationship, not the guy. Number 2, instead of him proving himself, recognize that a relationship is a 2-lane street. Number 3, this one I love. It's show him your playful and flirty side. Let me repeat that. Show him your playful and flirty side. Ladies, I'm a single man out in the dating realm. I say this because this is my experience. The vast majority of women lack playfulness and flirty. I just feel nothing but walls from so many of you. There's 2 types of women. There's either the entitled woman who expects me to climb to the tallest room in the highest tower. By the way, I dump those women. Women who have expectations like that, I'm done. Then there's the ones that have walls up because they've been burned, they've been hurt. Many of you, I suspect, have been burned and hurt. And I can understand how frustrating that is. But here's the thing, ladies. If you're not open and receptive to love and to allow your flirty, playful side to come out, then what's the point for us men to want to chase you? It is through playfulness, it's flirtiness, adventure, stimulation, variety. All those things are part of the reasons why we want to be in relationship. But if you're walled up or you're entitled, oops, I don't want to show my armpits because they're already, by the way, I have a lighting here, so I get kind of hot. But if you're walled up, I got to tell you, my greatest frustration as a single man is women lack playfulness and flirtiness. And why would I want to? Now, by the way, I don't chase, I invest, but I don't invest in someone who's not flirty and playful with me, because that's how I show up. And that's my invitation for all of you to begin to learn. And if you need help on that, do a YouTube search on how to flirt. My God, there's 1,000 videos. There's 10,000 videos on how to flirt. Okay, number 4. And this is hugely important, is a level of what I call independence and self-love. Independence and self-love. Sadly, here in the United States, and this is probably true around the world, here in the United States, people are suckling on the nipple of, I need you to love me so I can feel good about myself. Ladies, I watch so many of you give your power away to a man. In other words, it's all about whether or not he likes you. And let me just say, what matters most is whether you like you. This is why I wrote a book called What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? Look at that. There's me in the back cover, by the way. Ladies, what the heck is self-love anyway? You know, it's interesting. I got it. There's a book club that's the book of the month is my book. So I got a chance to do a Zoom call with a group of women the other day, and they're doing a deep dive in my book. The reason why I'm recommending this book is because without a sense of self-worth, self-confidence, self-esteem, self-reliance, self-love, there's nothing attractive about you. Because if you give your power away to a guy, we'll take it for a while. Because you're giving it to us, but we're not going to invest in you. You have to differentiate between the early stage of dating and getting past the 3-month mark. Yes, lots of men will make huge investment in the early stages. We call that hunting and we call that chasing. Yeah. All right, what are they chasing and hunting? Okay, but if you want to get past that, let me just tell you something. If your whole happiness is predicated on whether he likes you, then you don't have a sovereign soul in yourself. And sovereignty is very sexy to a man. A woman so here's why a lot of guys pull away, is because we feel your emotional neediness, and we don't want to be responsible for your emotional neediness. This is why we pull away lots of times. Now, the other reasons why we pull away, there's chaos going on in our life. There's uncertainty going on in our life. There's trauma and drama going on in our life. That's the predominant reason why we pull away. But we can pull away energetically from communicating because we don't want to be responsible for your feelings. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating? Please let me know by hitting that like button. And our 5th and final thing to help you get a man to invest in you is vulnerability. That's right, vulnerability. Ladies, again, going back to the independence and sovereignty, a woman who genuinely loves herself is unafraid to speak her truth. By the way, chapter 1 of my book, Speak Your Truth, Do It With Kindness. Your truth is your feelings. And I want you to begin to lean into your feelings, because later in my book, there's a chapter called If It's Sincere and From the Heart, You Can Never Say the Wrong Thing to the Right Person. Let me repeat that. If it's sincere and from the heart, you can never say the wrong thing to the right person. Now, why vulnerability is so important, and it takes true courage to be, there's the armpit stains. It takes true courage to be vulnerable. Here's the benefit. Men learn when you lead by example. I have a friend who was in a relationship with a woman, And she was very open in expressing her feelings. Now, he's not the most expressive of guys, per se. I mean, he's very much acts of service, physical touch, and quality time is his love language. And oh, by the way, if you're not familiar with the 5 love languages, check out the book, The 5 Love Languages. Words of affirmation, or for us Leos, it's words of adoration. Just kidding. Physical touch, quality time, acts of service, gifts. Okay. So going back to my friend, he's more of an acts of service person. The woman he was in relationship was very vocal and very open about her feelings. She was vulnerable. And because she led by example, and because he genuinely cared for her, he leaned into her vulnerability instead of run away. The only men that run away from your vulnerability, either A, you're vomiting your vulnerability, or B, he's just not that into you. And a man who can't lean into your vulnerability, if it's sincere and from your heart, sincere and from your heart means it's not coming from a place of victim consciousness. It's coming from a place of victor consciousness. And when a woman can lean, you don't lean back and you don't away. When you lean into your sovereignty, the right guy is going to lean into your self-worth, self-reliance, self-esteem, self-love, and lean into vulnerability as well. Is this sinking in, ladies? Please let me know. All right, we're going to take questions in a second. By the way, I'm going to go through the Q&A board. If you have a question, write the word question. Now, before I share this, in about an hour from now, I'm hosting a webinar to my group called Midlife Love Mastery. I'm going to post a link right here. Midlife Love Mastery. We're going to be